These are the walls.
Yeah,
These are
maybe you
original walls.
have a look
So you
for
can
it.
see the some.
Well, I mean, I saw something up there.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, I'll show you something interesting. The original gateway was here. Can you see here? This was the original gateway, and this is where the post stood. That's right. And it sort of turned. This is 10th century, but the walls of Ahab, 9th century, are here.
Now, this is way, way after.
No, get rid
That's
of Dan.
way
Jesus
after
time.
that. No, way before.
Oh, before?
Yeah, everything is BC. That's right.
Gateway of Dan.
Yeah,
We just saw the Gateway of Laish.
that's
Very
right.
cool.
You're good. You're good. You're good. Okay, we've just gone forward about 800 years between that gateway and this gateway. This is the gateway to Dan, the tribe of Dan. These are the walls built by Jeroboam and Ahab. These great massive walls, look at them, aren't they amazing? We'll follow them round afterwards, and there is the gateway, and here is a great courtyard in front of the gateway to Dan. And in this place people would congregate. Maybe there was a market. They've even found an altar, can you see there, with standing stones. Can you see those stones? You know, even though people prayed to the God of Israel, they hadn't abandoned the idea of stones or shrines, cultic places with these masebot, they call them, these standing stones. You remember how the prophets railed against the people for these cultic sites and these standing stones, and how Josiah, the great reforming king, you know, who was killed at Megiddo in that traumatic moment, this great reforming king who said there's only one true God of Israel, and he destroyed all the high places, and he destroyed all the cultic sites and all the gods at the gateways. Here you have a perfect example. The altar and the stones themselves were given by the people some kind of sanctity, even though at the same time they were praying to the God of Israel. It wasn't really until the time that children of Israel to the Jews went into Babylon that they came back and Judaism was really crystallized into pure monotheism. Okay, so shall we go through the gateway and enter Dan?
What year is it though?
We're about the 9th century BC now. We're 900 years after the gateway of Laish.
You need a tripod.
And can you see this is the rampart, part of the Canaanite rampart, and the walls, these walls are later, but they've been put against the rampart. That's artificial, that was built around the city by the people of Laish. So let's enter the gateway of Dan, and we'll stop by the throne. Tell me when you found the throne. You've done it! By golly, she's got it. Now you are King Ahab, sitting in judgment at the gates.
King Jamie.
King Jamie.
Hey, brother.
No, you're fine. It's shut off on me, so.
You want one too?
And these are the original.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. This place is unique in Israel. This is authentic. I don't know about the gentleman, if he goes back, if he's been here
Jared.
1,900 years.
Looking good for that age.
You're doing great.
See if King Herod is King Jared.
King Yared, yeah. King Yared. There would have been these things here held a canopy, right? They were poles for a canopy. And then the king sitting in judgment at the gates of the city. Ah, great.
Mr.
And
Ennis.
around here sat the elders on the bench, right?
Awesome.
Around here.
I'm sorry.
The gateway to Dan. Queen! Yay! In her clone clothes.
Yeah.
That's Sherry Dominguez, the queen.
Queen of the suitcase.
Okay.
The queen.
Ready, Sherry?
There are so many references in the Old Testament to what went on at the city gates. This is where the king sat in judgment. This is where the elders sat. Can you see on the bench here? And again, we have a small shrine. If you look in the wall, can you see, believe it or not, I mean, I wouldn't have known if I hadn't been told, but these are standing stones again here. People would have said a blessing as they went in and out of the gates, a blessing on the city, a blessing for their journey, and maybe put an offering here. So this is another small cultic site within the gateway. And as I said, they give you some examples here. This one, and the king arose and sat in the gate, and all the people came before the king. This is the time when David was mourning, although Absalom had risen against him. He still went to the gate and he was in mourning. And do you remember the wonderful story of Ruth and Boaz? When Boaz and Ruth, after they met, he wanted Ruth to become his wife, but he had to go through a certain legal procedure. And that happened at the gates to the city, you know, because she had been married. He had to first ask the brother of her husband who died if he wanted to take her as his wife and take over the lands. And there was the passing over of the shoe as a sign that he was foregoing the right of Ruth and the lands that were owing her from her previous marriage. And that was what happened at the gates to Bethlehem. The gates of the city. There's a reference here. Then went Boaz up to the gate, and he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, "Sit ye down here." And they sat down. Justice was done at the gates to the city. The justices of the elders of the people meted out justice. If the king had anything he wished to say to the people, he would announce it here at the gates to the city. And the one I like is from Proverbs. Do you remember the wife of noble character?
Yes.
This lady, she was of such great worth. She saw to her family, and she wove the cloth, and she provided food, and she saw to the fields and the vineyards. She opened her arms to the poor and extended her hands to the needy. And after 23 verses extolling her worth, her husband is respected at the city gate, where he takes his seat among the elders of the land. His wife is doing all this. Had to get that in. Give her the reward she has earned. This is the last verse. And let her works bring her praise at the city gate. Isn't that lovely?
Yes.
It's all here.
Yes, it is.
And we've just been discovering it bit by bit. My dears, we'll be getting back on the bus. It's time for you to have your photographs taken.